All right, let's talk about one of our favorite things, coffee. But what if I told you there's a way to grow it that's, well, just genius? A way that creates this incredible abundance, not by fighting nature, but by basically copying its smartest playbook, the forest. Let's get into it. So just picture this for a minute. What if a coffee farm could literally fertilize itself? And what if it could protect itself from pests, all on its own? No need to buy a single bag of fertilizer or a bottle of pesticide. Sounds kind of like a dream, right? Well, it's not. It's very, very real.
Okay, check this out. Seriously, look at these two pictures. On the left, you've got this totally wrecked piece of land in Brazil from back in 1984. And on the right, that is the exact same place about 30 years later. And get this, that lush jungle isn't just a restored forest. It's a super productive farm, all thanks to a guy named Ernst Goetsch. How in the world did he do that? Well, that's what we're going to break down. So, what's this incredible system called? It goes by a couple of names, syntropic agriculture, or, more broadly, agroforestry. But really, it's a whole different way of looking at farming. It completely flips the script on how we can grow things, especially our beloved coffee and cacao.
And here's the core idea, the thing you really need to get. It's not just about growing food. It's about growing food while making the land better. Think about it. Most farming it takes from the soil, right? This system actually builds the soil, making it richer and healthier over time.
You see, this is why the integration is so important. The farm is the forest. There's this crazy story about a disease called witch's broom that just wiped out cacao farms in Brazil. It was devastating. But Ernst Goetsch's farm? It was barely touched. Why? Because his farm wasn't just a neat row of cacao trees waiting to get sick. It had the strength and complexity of a real forest.
I know, it sounds a little bit like magic, but it's not. It's all based on principles that nature has been using for, millions of years. So let's pull back the curtain and see how this whole thing actually works.
Okay, so where do we begin? Not with the coffee plant, surprisingly. It all starts underground. The real secret, the foundation for everything, the health, the fertility, all of it, comes from creating an incredibly rich, living soil.
Right here, you're looking at the soil mesofauna. It's like a whole universe of microscopic creatures that you can't even see, but they are absolutely crucial. Think of them as the farmer's tiny invisible army, working 24/7 for free. They fluff up the soil, break down dead stuff, and basically serve up a perfect meal for the plants. They're the real MVPs.
And then, of course, you've got the bigger guys, the decomposers, like earthworms, millipedes, and all sorts of fungi. These guys are the ultimate recycling crew. They take all the garbage, fallen leaves, branches, that kind of thing, and they turn it into black gold. Rich, fertile soil. This is the engine that makes the whole self-fertilizing farm possible.
So, to get this whole underground crew working at its best, you just have to follow 4 basic rules from nature's playbook. 1, you mimic how a forest grows over time. 2, you cram in as much biodiversity as possible. 3, you build up, planting in layers from the ground to the sky. And 4, and this is a big one, you always keep the soil covered, never leave it bare.
Okay, so with all this in mind, let's bring it back to our star player, coffee. How does a coffee plant actually fit into this busy, bustling forest neighborhood we're building?
This chart really lays it out perfectly. You see those vertical layers we talked about? At the very top, you've got your towering timber trees. Then you come down a level to fruit trees. Think mangoes, avocados. Then a bit lower, maybe some citrus or bananas. And then way down at the bottom, tucked away in the cozy, protected shade, that's where you find our coffee and cacao. It's their happy place. They were born to live in the understory.
And here's what that smart design looks like in practice on a farm. You can see the different rows, the tall trees, the medium ones, and then the coffee tucked in next to something like a banana plant, which acts like a shady big brother while the coffee is young. But see those other plants in between? A lot of those are biomass plants. Their only job is to grow fast so they can be chopped down and used as mulch to feed the soil. It's brilliant. Every single plant has a specific job to do.
And look, this isn't some wacky new idea. It's actually pretty common sense for a lot of farmers. A 2016 survey in Ecuador found that a whopping 87% of coffee growers there were already growing their coffee under shade. They know what's up. They've seen with their own eyes the coffee is just happier and healthier when it's part of a bigger team.
Okay, so what's the bottom line? What are the big payoffs for the farmer, for the land, for everyone? Let's get into the amazing gifts that this system gives back.
I mean, the difference is just night and day. You've got the old way, the monoculture, which means tons of costs, being hooked on chemicals, and your soil getting worse and worse.
And then you have agroforestry, which just flips the whole thing on its head. We're talking super low costs, being totally self-sufficient, and having soil that actually gets better every single year. It's a no-brainer, right?
All right, remember that first promise we talked about? A farm that fertilizes itself? Here's how it works. You're constantly pruning those support trees, which drops a thick blanket of mulch on the ground. Then that invisible army of decomposers gets to work, turning all that waste into plant food. Plus, you have special plants that literally pull nitrogen out of the air and stick it in the soil. The end result? You stop writing checks for expensive bags of fertilizer, period. And what about that second promise, natural pest control? Well, when you have a ton of different plants and trees, you create a home for your own personal security team. I'm talking about spiders, lizards, birds, toads, all the good guys that love to eat the pests that munch on your coffee plants. On top of that, plants grown in healthy soil are just tougher. They can fight off diseases better on their own. So again, you can stop buying those pricey, toxic pesticides.
You know, don't just listen to me talk about it. Here's what a real coffee farmer, Gloria Yepes, has to say. For her, this diversity isn't just about healthy soil, it's about food on the table for her family. It's about securing her income. Think about it. If the price of coffee tanks one year, she's still got bananas or avocados or citrus to sell. That's real-world security.
And honestly, the list just keeps going. That rich soil acts like a giant sponge, so the farm handles droughts way better. All those shade trees create a cooler little microclimate, protecting the coffee from crazy heat waves. And like we just heard from Gloria, you've got food security and multiple paychecks coming in from the same piece of land. It all works.
So, when you step back and look at the whole picture, you start to realize, wow, this isn't just a new farming trick. It's a completely different way of thinking. It's a total paradigm shift in how we can work with the land.
And that's really the heart of it all. It's not magic. It's just smart. It's about paying attention to how nature already works, and then working with it, not against it. It's about teaming up with nature's amazing ability to heal and grow instead of trying to battle it every step of the way.
So that really leaves us with one big question, doesn't it? I mean, a forest, it creates all this abundance and stability and resilience all on its own, with zero outside help. It just works. The question is, are we finally ready to learn from that wisdom? Are we ready to start growing our own future the same way a forest does?